Oh, and we welcome Kyle Madson to his very first ever radio show here. Kyle, welcome. You know, you could talk.
Hello.
Now.
Is this on?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. Now,
okay,
now
great.
it's time to talk. Live for those who
So
are
people can
watching
hear
from
this?
his broom closet. No, we can hear you. Yeah, there are people watching, listening. We're actually airing all over the world right now.
Oh, that's really cool. Neat. I love technology.
Wow. All right. We got to balance things out when we bring Kyle in. So some of you will get what that means. But Kyle is a nice balance for me and Kenny.
Absolutely.
And Kyle at Seahawks.
And knowledgeable.
Yes. He very much is. I was actually telling everybody I was listening to the Candlestick Chronicles podcast this morning.
Oh, thanks.
And I already forgot his name. The gentleman, the guy we were speaking to.
Danny Kelly. Yeah.
He was he said a line that just really, really stuck out with me about Pete Carroll coaching the team that he wants rather than the team that he actually has. And Kenny jumps in and goes, yeah, that's what Kyle Shanahan does. Is there a similarity between Kyle Shanahan and Pete Carroll in the way they're coaching these teams?
I don't think so, because I don't think the offense we see the 49ers run is the offense Kyle Shanahan would ideally want to run. I think that they lean so heavily on their run game because they have a limited quarterback. I think the passing offense you see where everything is across the middle of the field and within 8 yards of the line of scrimmage is because their quarterback is pretty limited in what he can do and the reads he can make and how frenetic he is in the pocket, just trying to get rid of the football. So no, I think that if, for example, if they had acquired Tom Brady 2 off seasons ago, we wouldn't be looking at the same offense that they have now. I think that
it's a shame that wasn't a possibility.
I know that would have been really, really cool if Tom Brady had wanted to play for San Francisco, but we would see more 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. We'd see more. I don't know if we'd see 50-yard bombs every play, but we would see more of the downfield passing than we see now. So I think that Shanahan adapts his offense to his personnel a little bit. I just think that the quarterback play is so limited that it really handcuffs what he can do.
What'd you think of Jimmy's performance on Sunday? I thought it was, me personally, I thought it was up and down, but he had some good moments in the second half, I guess you could say. Did you think he had some good moments, or was it just bad all the way around? No,
I think you're pretty spot on. I think it was up and down. It's a roller coaster. It always is with Garoppolo. It is for every play where he inexplicably spikes the ball into the ground behind him.
Oh, that was so bad. I saw it again last night. I was like, Jesus.
Right. It was brutal. But for every one of those plays, you're going to get that dime to George Kittle over the middle, or the one to Deebo Samuel on the out where Samuel's arm was being held down and it just hit him between the 1 and the 9 near the sideline when he dropped it. You're going to get plays like that, but you're also going to get the horrible plays. And the 49ers knew that going in. That's just kind of the quarterback he is. That's why they're moving forward without him next season, theoretically. But it's also why he's good enough that he's going to be the starter this year. And I think that what we saw on Sunday night, I think there's just a microscope on it now because of Trey Lance. I don't know if he's any better or any worse than he was in 2019. There's just a better option behind him now. So the mistakes are magnified that much more. So I agree with you. He was okay. What was probably just below average.
Kyle, why didn't they prepare Trey Lance to play during training camp? Why did they play this Jimmy Garoppolo play the season out card? They had to know, Kyle had to know that this is what was going to happen. If the team is struggling, if the offense is struggling, if Jimmy Garoppolo is just okay, if Jimmy Garoppolo is missing throws to Deebo Samuel or whoever, they had to know that this was going to be the conversation. Dude, if we're going into week 4, that's it. This is going to continue for the next 13 weeks. Why didn't they prepare Trey Lance in the preseason?
Because I don't think the preseason is enough time to prepare him. He played, not only did he only start 17 games in college, but he threw fewer than 200 passes. He, I think, is way more remedial as a thrower than we really know. I think if you get him on the play he had against the Lions, where it is play action, this is going to be your read, hit that. On the rollout against the Packers, where there was a defensive holding, I think the play was George Kittle across the back of the end zone, but Kittle got held, so the throw wasn't there, which is why he held on to it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he's ready. And Kyle Shanahan has said since 2018, when they started asking him about getting a mobile quarterback, it was not mobility. It's about, can you stand in the pocket and make the throws when teams take the run away? And we've seen teams do that, for example, to Lamar Jackson and to Greg Roman, I think more than Lamar Jackson, because Greg Roman can't design a passing offense to save his life. But it's about when the chips are down and you have 2:39 left and the run game is off the table and you need a touchdown, can your quarterback take a snap, stand in there, and make the reads and make the throws? I just don't think Trey Lance is there yet, where they're confident that he's capable of doing that on a regular basis. And I don't think there's enough practice time in training camp, because you're also trying to get Jimmy Garoppolo ready. You're also trying to get him reps, and you're trying to kind of bring Trey Lance along without killing his confidence and without making him develop bad habits. So I think they went into this year knowing that, like, yeah, hey, the realistic ceiling with Garoppolo is probably like 10 wins and maybe a playoff berth, depending on how things shake out. But it's at the expense of, or it's with the benefit of Lance developing and getting that longer window to kind of hone his skills and develop. So when they plug him in as the starter, he's ready to hit the ground running, and they can skip a lot of those growing pains.
So, and it's interesting you mentioned that play against the Packers, the rollout play, and you talk about throwing the football when it comes to Trey Lance, because the play was the Kittle. But if memory serves me correct, I think Ayuk ended up being open, and Trey had, like, there was a pass that could have been made there, and he just threw it kind of weird or threw it away or whatever the case may be. And that could have been the 7 right there. Yeah, it's just interesting to hear you say, you know, what I'm seeing as well. You know what I mean? Where he needs to work on being able to make the throws in a game time situation. And even, like you said, when things break down, like you got to roll out and make a throw on the run, you got to be able to hit the pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, there's just so much, I think, development that needs to go on. And because the first snap or the first throw he made in the preseason was a designed shot play, where he does the play action, he rolls out, he gets to stop, set his feet, and Trent Sherfield's wide open. We see that and go, wow, he's ready, put him in. But there is so much more that goes into being a consistent, and that's what it's about. It's consistency. Can you consistently be an effective passer? Jimmy Garoppolo cannot. The highs are really high. The highs are, man, this guy can take you to a Super Bowl. But the lows are, has this guy played quarterback before? Mm-hmm. And that level of inconsistency, I think, is what they're trying to avoid.
That's a pretty steep drop.
Coach, did you see that fumble he had? He got grabbed and just threw it into the ground behind him.
Jeez,
that's an inexcusable play.
Like, think about what you just said. This guy can get you to the Super Bowl.
He has.
Or you wonder if he's ever played quarterback before.
You have. Have you not done both of those things watching Jimmy Garoppolo play quarterback?
That fumble, that fumble is, oh, man. And
not just that fumble, but there's throws he makes. Not as many this year. I will give him that. He's been
the Sanu pass.
Yeah,
Sanu's wide open, and he's got to roll to the ground to catch the ball.
Oh, you were talking about that Sanu pass, right? Yeah, wide open.
Kyle's talking about another Sanu pass.
I'm talking about the one in the Eagles game where Sanu on third down gets an outbreaking ride. He's wide open, and Jimmy Garoppolo throws it to the fan in the Garoppolo jersey in the 4th row.
That's just right there, man.
It is. The Deebo Samuel pass breakup where the Eagles defender, I forget who it was, would have had a pick 6 on the out. Like, there's just too many throws that you see. You've seen this year in Jimmy Garoppolo's 3 starts. You've seen why they rolled with him this year and said, this is a Super Bowl caliber roster. Although with questions about that now, but the year saying this is a Super Bowl caliber roster. This is a quarterback that can get us there. And that we've seen the flashes of why they think that. But we've also seen the same flashes on the other side of that token for why they're moving off of him, despite the fact that, yeah, when he's good, he's really good. But when he's bad, He's really bad. And you just can't have that. You can't win consistently in the NFL if it's like, okay, well, he can win as long as the defense is top 10 and the running game is top 2 and the receivers are really good and George Kittle's healthy, and his pass blocking is good. He needs everything to be perfectly in place, and that's just not feasible long term.
Let me ask you this real quick, Kyle, because I'm still of the belief Jimmy Garoppolo should be the quarterback, and I know it sounds like I'm waffling on this all week long because I'm starting to have concerns, and this is the concern that I have. I'm watching that game on Sunday. Like I said, Jimmy was up and down. He struggled in the first half, did some things, led some drives in the second half. But I think it was before the potential game-winning drive. It was something like 21 of 32 for 188 or something like that. And while I agree with everything that you say about Trey Lance, and I don't necessarily think he's ready, I look at that and I'm like, well, he can do that. You know what I'm saying? Like he can do that. He can throw for 180 yards if Kyle is on his job and things of that nature. So at this point, if Jimmy is not like killing it, I'm not even saying he's got to be an MVP, but if he's not killing it, why wouldn't you just start Trey Lance? Because it feels like Trey can do what Jimmy's doing right now.
Because the risk is damaging his long-term development. And that's what this year is about. Because if you put him in, and I don't think this would happen, and I think the people that just immediately point to this are not thinking. They're just being frankly lazy with it. The argument against starting Trey Lance I've seen is, well, look what happened with Justin Fields. And it's like, well, you can't do – the 49ers would put Trey Lance in a much better position to succeed than the Bears did with Justin Fields. But that didn't do Justin Fields favors on Sunday. Like, Justin Fields didn't become a better player on Sunday against the Browns. And I think that's what the Niners are worried about with Trey Lance. Does he make 2 throws down the field to get intercepted, and now all of a sudden he's gun shy forever on throwing the ball down the field? Like, these are that, and I'm not saying that's exactly what would happen, and that's just one example, but I think they're worried about long-term damage to him. They think he has a long way to go developmentally. They think they can get that done in practice with him running the scout team, getting those reps. I think that he should play more than he does. I think 8 to 10, maybe 12 snaps a game is probably a better look than what's he averaging, like 2.5 snaps a game right now. He had 4 in the first game and 3 in the third one. I think you can get him 8 to 10 and get him developed that way. But the thing, Kenny, just to directly answer your question, I think that the reason they're not just saying like, oh, well, if Jimmy's going to make a rookie mistake, we'll just put the rookie in. Or if Jimmy's not going to be great, we'll just put the rookie in, is because they're looking at 2022 and 2023 and saying, is that best for Trey Lance beyond this year? And they clearly don't think it is.
Well, damn it, I'm looking at 2021.
That's why Jimmy Garoppolo is starting.
We might not be here Sunday. I'm looking at
you know what? That's a great point. You're right.
That's there it is. It's a 49ers Friday brought to you by McQueen and the Violet Fog, the smoothest gin in the world, handcrafted in Brazil. Kyle Madson, on the other hand, he's brought to you in Kyle Madson. His backpack and his broom closet are brought to you by and his spotty internet connection are brought to you by 95.7 The Game and Danny in San Francisco. So we appreciate that. Kyle, at the risk of starting World War III here, I believe Kyle Madson is better at his job than the Kyle we're about to talk about.
Wow.
I want to ask you this question here because it's been a point of contention between me and my partner all week. Is your boy good at his job? Is there more evidence that Kyle Shanahan is a good coach or a bad coach?
Yes.
See.
No. I think he is. I think he is a good coach.
I love that I love you got to know something. You froze right there. So the fact that you said I think he's a good coach and froze, it sounded like you had no way to back up your point and you just started talking. And that's how I'm going to cut this clip and send it out to the universe. Like, yep, that's what I said, and I ain't got no way of backing it up.
Rubber stamp it. No, so I think if you look what happened in 2017, they were abysmal. In 2018, Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt. They are abysmal. they go to the Super Bowl in 2019. Last year, again, injuries, and they didn't finish well. What are they, 6-10 or 5-11, wherever they were. And the fact that players continue playing for him, and the fact that they have, for the most part, managed this Garoppolo Lance thing without any, at least public dissension from any players, or, anonymous sources say that, players, the locker room's divided between a Garoppolo camp and a Lance camp. The fact that he's managed all of that, and the fact that players are still playing for him and players still want to play for him, to me says he's good at his job. Now,
wow.
Joe Staley was also on Candlestick Chronicles and said he thinks Kyle Shanahan's a good coach, and I'm going to believe him. On the other hand, when you look at, I think he has a long way to go to be a great head coach. In the modern NFL, you need a good offensive mind in your building, a forward-thinking, cutting-edge offensive mind. That's where Andy Reid is. It's Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. It's Bruce Arians down in Tampa Bay. You look at all the Brian Dable, the Bills offensive coordinator. You need that in your building. So I think he has a long way to go in terms of, time management. I think that the Trey Lance play call at the end of the first half, while it worked, that was like a frustrated Madden player just going on tilt and being like, screw it, I'm going to go do this thing, and throw the hands up and see if it works. I think that he is prone to getting really frustrated and letting that impact his decision-making, which you cannot have. That can't happen. And that's something that he needs to learn moving forward. But I think overall, I think he's done an okay job. I don't think it's fair to put him in the conversation with Andy Reid and Bill Belichick and whatever else crazy stuff people want to do.
What about Luke Walton? Because you were talking about players playing for him and keeping the locker room and all this. I was like, damn, talking about Luke Walton. Players love playing. They like playing for Luke Walton too. And he ain't lost the locker room. And you think Luke's a good coach?
Luke Walton doesn't have the reputation of being one of the top offensive minds in basketball. And he doesn't have Nick Mullins throwing for the second most yards ever through a quarterback's first 16 starts. Like, he doesn't have those credentials. He rode Steve Kerr's coattails for 24 games. So that's what I think the difference is there. But
or Steve Kerr rode his coattails.
Oh, wow. Didn't even think about that. But Kyle Shanahan's been to the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan took a team to the playoffs. Like, get Luke Walton, can he get into the play-in tournament and then call me? So that's where I think Shanahan is good, but he has a long way to go before you can call him, one of the best head coaches in the league. He's a great offensive mind, but in terms of being that all-around head coach and game management and time management, he had the fourth down from the 50 where they took the delay of game and punted instead of going for it on 4th and 1. I think it was like with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. That kind of stuff to me is, he goes, oh, I'd like to have that one back. It's like, that's great, but you can't get it back. You need to make that decision in the game, and you need to make the right decision. So he's a good head coach, not a great head coach.
Yeah, and I think there's no problem with saying that Kyle Shanahan is a good head coach. And I've said numerous times, and Kyle, we talked about this when you were filling in for Damien. We think he's a good head coach, but to last in San Francisco and anywhere, you have to have results. You know what I mean? And he's not on the hot seat this year, but if he didn't make the playoffs this year, going into next year, he'd absolutely be on the hot seat. The only thing that I would say about saying he's a bad coach and equating that to his overall record, the way Damien and some other people do, is those years. Right now, we haven't had a season, and I'm not trying to stall him out completely because he's got flaws like a lot of other. But we haven't had a season where we're like, yo, that one's on Kyle Shanahan.
Right.
His first season, it was an exhibition team. Second season, he lost his quarterback. Third season, everybody was there. He was great. Fourth season, everybody just fell off the face of the earth with injuries. Like, it wasn't. But
here's the thing: these seasons are starting to add up.
Right.
Yeah. So at some point, you're going to lose your job, but it's circumstantial.
Is he going to lose his job and be like, man, damn, that Kyle's a good. Like someone tweeted yesterday that I think we read it on the air. All but 5 teams in the NFL would ditch their coach for Kyle Shanahan, which is laughable.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't think it's
I
laughable.
think that's right though.
Stop it. No.
We can go
It's about
overboard.
getting it's about getting. No, I don't know if it's laughable. I don't know if teams would fire their head coach mid-season, but if he was available this offseason, I think there's a lot of teams that would poke around for sure. And if Damian, ultimately you're right. Like if you start stacking up 7-8 years and you're like, yeah, the one year they were healthy, they went to the Super Bowl, but the other 7, look at all these injuries. Like eventually you've got to go to the common theme or the common thread in all of those years and try and. But right now, I don't think that you can put it on him necessarily. But they go on like, I don't know they go like on his ledger where eventually it's going to be like, all right, hey, we're looking over the 8 years of Kyle Shanahan as the 49ers head coach, and 6 of those years they were super injured and didn't do anything. So, I mean, ultimately it's about results. Nobody's going to care if you're here a decade, make the playoffs once, and you go, oh, but the injuries just wait till we're healthy. Like, no, that's not going to work out.
Absolutely.
Kenny, go ahead. I just want to let everybody know, it's a little plug for my man Kyle here. Go to NinersWire.com and check out the article about the 2021 draft picks. Go ahead, Kenny. Go ahead. Just go get your question. I just want people to go read Kyle's work over at NinersWire.com.
So,
and let's not pretend that John Lynch is the general manager. We know who the general manager is, but go ahead, Kenny.
All right. So at the same time, like I said, I just want to keep the same energy. Did he draft George Kittle?
Sure.
Yeah.
Did he draft Deebo Samuel?
Sure.
Did he draft De'Amon Lenore? Did he draft Nick Bosa? Like,
did he draft Solomon Thomas? Did he draft Tracer? Did he draft 3 guys who aren't playing?
Tell me the coach and the GM that hits 50% of their draft every year. Doesn't happen.
Well, ultimately, this year doesn't even matter. He's going to be judged by 1 pick and 1 pick.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we don't get to see that pick this year because
maybe not.
And that's what I think is ultimately where it's going to lie. Like Trey Lance is the first time Kyle Shanahan has gotten to be the number 3 overall pick and handpick his guy. He got to be at the top of the draft with all but 2 available quarterbacks and say, this is my guy that I am moving forward with. If that doesn't work out, forget this year. If that doesn't work out, because if they win 5 games this year or 15 games this year, they can still win 15. If they win 5 games this year or 15 games this year, how Trey Lance does is what's going to matter for Kyle Shanahan's long-term viability as the 49ers head coach. If they go 5-12 this year, but Trey Lance comes in next year and they go 13-4 and go to the playoffs and they're in the playoffs every year after that, like the last 5 seasons aren't gonna matter at all. It all comes down to number 5. And that's why they're going to be so patient with him.
100%. Kyle, what we seeing this Sunday, man? This is a big game for both teams involved. I think it's, I don't want to say just as big, but it would be huge if the Niners could go 3-1 and bounce back after that tough loss against Green Bay and take your division rival and kind of push them to the side a little bit. What do you think we see on Sunday?
Yeah, I think I thought going into this stretch they had to go 2-1, and Green Bay was the one you could afford to lose. But here's the deal. If George Kittle and Elijah Mitchell both don't play, they're not winning. They're just not going to be able to score enough points. And that's a problem. Like the Seahawks are going to score a lot. Whether Tyler Lockett plays or not, the Seahawks are going to put some points up. And can the 49ers score 34, 35, 36 points? No, if George Kittle is not playing and Elijah Mitchell's not playing. So I think the Seahawks are going to win. Those guys aren't in. If they're in, it's a different story, and I think the 49ers can pull out. But right now, I would probably lean Seattle.
The game's internet connection is in worse shape than George Kittle's calf. And by the way, you're going to lose your little game with Chris Biederman on Candlestick Chronicles because you drafted George Kittle first. So whatever the game is in the payoff, you're going to lose.
I also have Elijah Mitchell.
Awesome. You're in for a great week. Check out Candlestick Chronicles. Check out Niners Wire and check out 95.7 The Game in San Francisco on the Odyssey app. That's our man, Kyle Madson.